A little story about how I got to know Mr. McLeod was through Mrs. Anna, and I was able to come and see him work with our music department, and I know he's had a history working with students all the way up to our seniors right now in high school. And you say that this person has a lot to offer. And I could not pass up an opportunity that he gave us to bring the Kaleidoscope Dance Group here, and then also to have a conversation with you. So
having them right nearby, in town this week, about to put on their performances this weekend in Auburn, made it just a wonderful opportunity for them to come in and work a little bit with you guys. You are so unbelievably fortunate to have him here and to have this company here and to have them work with you a little bit and perform for you and talk to you a bit. It will be a fun time for most, if not all of us in the room, probably a bit life-changing. So enjoy, Mr. Sean McLeod.
You are responsible for your tomorrow. Your parents are there to aid you in that, not to do it for you. Right? To recognize that when you got up this morning, if part of you did not say that you wanted to honestly say good morning to your parents, something is wrong with you. And what's wrong with you is you don't recognize that you live a good life because of them. They are your primary teachers. The first teacher given to you under God. And then next came these teachers. And that they are taking out of their lives to contribute to you. What is your responsibility to them and to yourselves? 1, to behave. 2, to do well. 3 is to not soil the good name of your parents. It's not about how hard you work, it's about how well you work. That the information that you're using is useful. And if it's not useful, it doesn't work. And it doesn't make a difference how much you dream. It won't change. It's like walking over to your mom's car to go home and you just look at the door for 25 minutes. If you don't get in the car, you cannot go home. What helps you decide what you want to wear to school?
What looks good on you?
No, that's not what we use. That's not what we use. Oh, you want to tell me? Yes, hang on, tell me.
Well, like she said, the weather, but also something that's appropriate depending on where you're going.
Okay, that might be good, right? Something that's appropriate for what you're doing. So then, what is the appropriate thing in your mind 9 times out of 10? 9 times out of 10. Yeah, so what is it?
Your peers.
So, we actually get dressed based upon what people will think about us. At the same time, we all fake like we're leaders. Oh, I'm an individual. What are you wearing, Abercrombie? What do you got, Abercrombie? Right? You're not a leader. And we as parents and teachers have done this generation a great disservice of telling them that they're things that they're not. You don't do your homework, but then you're upset that you don't get 100. And then, hold it, it's the teacher's fault. That the teacher didn't like you. But when's the last time you asked the plane that takes you to Disney to like you? It's not required that it likes you. It just has a task to do. The teacher's job is to teach you. If you're not a nice person, they're not going to like you. If you don't greet them in the morning, they're not going to like you. And they're not supposed to, because you're not a nice person. Your reality is that you want to go someplace. You want to be something. But it's your job to be it. So what's the age of competency? At what age is it where it's your responsibility to do the things you're supposed to do? What age is it? Oh. 20. How old are you? The age is 12, kid. Make sense? Okay. What is the age of responsibility for yourself?
Well,
How old are you, kid? All right, good man. I like him. You understand that? Your time is now. Right? You ever see a movie on TV and it has kids in it? And it's your age? People. Do you not get the correlation? When you see a 5-year-old in a movie, people. Are you older than 5?
yes.
Then that means you're late. Get it? So, what should you do if one of your fellow students are sitting in the lunchroom over in the corner by themselves? What should you do? Yes.
Invite them over to your table.
And what do you do if they don't come when you invite them over?
You sit with them.
Ah, you simply take the party to them. That is actually an element that within all of my corporations is actually how they have to do it, right? Not just in my dance company, but in my professional corporation, their job is to take the better life to the person. So I wanted to show you for a second is that you're not abnormal. And one of you guys tell them the feelings that you had or the feelings you have historically. Not about our experience, but historically, when you go to a New York City audition, when you go to a New York City dance audition, before you came to audition for me a year ago or whatnot, and some of you recently, right? When you go to a dance audition, what is it that you normally feel?
Anxiety, very nervous. I get knots in my stomach. I break into a cold sweat. And I'm doing something that I love. I love dancing. But I didn't love dancing then.
Harsh competition, inability to perform my best because I'm focused on the people around me and what they are thinking of me.
I feel intimidated, excluded, not good enough, and that I probably shouldn't have gone.
So I would walk in and be like, oh, it's me or her. Well, you know, she's the other Asian in the room, and if they're casting an Asian, you know, I really need to have that part, so she's going down.
Okay, there's a little realism for you.
The minute I walk in, they start judging me that I'm not the correct body type for what they're trying to cast. And that the minute I make a mistake, every single other person in the room is like, yes! Like, they're hoping that I make a mistake.
I think in an environment where you learn to grow with certain people in a studio setting and then you get sent out by yourself, studio life doesn't really prepare you for that. So like Sean was saying earlier, just like you're in a classroom with all of your peers, you have to take that into consideration. They're not going to be with you when you go to college, when you're applying for college, but you have to put that towards it, that you know you have a support system. If you don't create that support system, you won't have anyone behind you when you're going through something scary, and that's what Sean teaches us. So when we went to his audition, we all hugged, we met each other, and then we started dancing. When we stepped into the audition the weekend later, there was not a negative energy in the room. You felt prepared. You felt like you had someone rooting for you, even though you were realistically competing for a spot. So it was a great feeling.
What went through your mind by hearing that story?
That even if you're a professional, you still struggle.
Even if you're a professional, you still struggle. So now, what I want you to do is to tell me, what are the things that makes your heart ache about being a teacher?
Oh, when kids don't realize their potential and they have a ton that they can do with what they have, but they're not quite sure how to reach it, and they don't understand the resources that they have around them. I just feel like you want to reach all the kids. And when these kids come to school every day and you don't know where they're coming from, what the house is like that they've left, and it's amazing how some of these kids get to us and how well they do with where they come from.
Yes. Now, what I want to do is give you a little remedy, right? Because I can hear the quiver in your voice. You have to actually take the extra time to go know where they come from. Like to go make that home visit. Not official, unofficial. I have some cookies. Would you like to chat? Isn't it easier to help a friend than it is to help a stranger? And I want you to help strangers. But isn't it easier to help a friend than it is to help a stranger? Teachers, a powerful phrase that our parents used to say to us, and our teachers used to say to us, and we have to re-commandeer. Stop that. We have to say it before it becomes a big giant firestorm. Is it? Stop. Don't do that. No, that's all you gotta do. Start with your hands. Now your back cheek. Now just throw one hand up. Throw one hand up. Now throw one hand. Now throw one hand. Throw two hands. One. Throw two hands. One. And the shake. Either hand. She dance and let the touch away. I pass the mic to my brother.
All right, well, thank you. Once again, incredible audience. Since we have a few minutes, it's dangerous when I get a mic. Teachers know this. What our focus is here as educators, as teachers, is you hear a lot about academics. You hear a lot about what we want you to learn. And what's very, very fun for me and a privilege is to see what our teachers are trying to teach you, other than about learning how to be a good person. One of the things that was, I'd say it was life-changing when I talked to Sean, Mr. McLeod. Sometimes you have situations in your life and you wonder, how did I get connected with this person at this time? Because we were here in the midst of looking into doing some things differently. And I'm going to tell you a true story about when we start to look at ourselves and look at things that we may do wrong, when you look deep, sometimes that's a hard thing to do. And you need somebody to point some things out to you. I was talking to Sean and he said, how are things going? And I'd had a bad day. And I said, well, I had a tough meeting today. And I was meeting with one of our departments. And it was an all-day meeting. And I was talking to him about a possible change. And for any of you, and as you get older, change is hard. And there's a lot of things. But in my mind, I'm thinking about myself. And I said to Sean, it was a hard day. I said, I don't know what I did wrong because it wasn't a good meeting. So he probed, and you've gotten to know Sean a little bit, Mr. McLeod. He's going to tell you like it is. So I said, my goal, it's just about the kids. It's just about the kids. I just want to do what's best for the kids. And he said, you're wrong. He said, you know what the mistake that you made? And let me tell you something, kids, I'm on the other phone, and I said, who is this guy? Because we haven't known each other. He said, you never asked your teachers how they felt. And for that day, Luckily, I talked to him that night so that I could change the way that I thought. You know what was really crazy? I started thinking about it through my career, how much I've done that. And you start to realize things about yourself that you gotta change. And I'm sharing this with you right now. I haven't even apologized to those people yet. But we sometimes don't think about how do we become a better person? How do we treat people better? I did not treat our teachers the right way. That's a very hard pill to swallow.
If you don't give it a chance, you'll never know the glories that you can find just by trying.
And for that day, luckily I talked to him that night so that I could change the way that I thought. You know what was really crazy? I started thinking about it through my career, how much I've done that. And you start to realize things about yourself that you gotta change. And I'm sharing this with you right now. I haven't even apologized to those people yet. But the powerful piece is, for you, I can tell you what goes on in your life. Your teachers can tell you what goes on in your life. Your parents can, and the person next to you can. Because it's not easy. But we sometimes don't think about how do we become a better person? How do we treat people better?